Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Drew Rubin, and today I want to introduce you to some concepts and some ideas that are going to change the way you practice, especially with the neurodivergent population, especially with the kids who are on the spectrum with autism, kids with ADHD, kids with learning disorders. Um, there's something that I've learned over the last 10 years that has just revolutionized my practice and revolutionized how I deal with these neurodivergent special needs kids. And I'm calling it polyvagal informed pediatric chiropractic. And it's really all about the brain. It's all about the brain. It's brain-based chiropractic. It's thinking from chiropractic in like two different ways. Number one is that we're focusing on the brain, right, instead of on the spine. Number one. And number two is we're focusing on what the kids want, on how the kids are going to respond to care, not what my technique is or those kind of things, but what we want to do with our kids is to take them into a place of safety. So let's turn on the slides, and I want to show you just really brief ideas about what this is, because I really feel that this is life-changing, paradigm-shifting concept if we can focus on the brain and create patient-centered chiropractic. And don't go on Menti right now. It's just a slide, just as an example. But how many components do we think that there are in the autonomic nervous system? We were all taught I remember I was taught when I was at chiropractic school way back in the 80s at Life Chiropractic College, now Life University, where I teach. There's two things. It's sympathetic, parasympathetic, and it's sort of like a balance scale. Like you see this picture over here, it's like a balance scale. It's either parasympathetic is on and sympathetic is off, or vice versa. And what we found out is that's not really what's going on. And that's the research that Dr. Stephen Porges has been doing over the last 20, 30 years, is he created this concept where, yes, there is parasympathetic, yes, there's sympathetic, but there's something else. And it's called the social engagement system, the social engagement system. So I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with this book or these two books, The Polyvagal Theory by Dr. Stephen Porges. That was his original book back in like 2009, I think, or so. And then his most latest book, which if you haven't read the first one, you got to read the latest one, The Polyvagal Safety, is just outstanding stuff. And the whole point of these books is to understand that when we used to think of everything as this balance scale, and that's really not what it is. What it is a ladder. What it is understanding how their kids' brains, how they operate. Because what we have to understand is that, especially the neurodivergent population, that kids on the spectrum, they're operating much more from a lower brain kind of thing. How do we get to their upper brain? How do we get to their frontal cortex? How do we get disconnected? Like Dr. Malil talks about disconnected. How do we connect these disconnected kids? And I have found through what I call polyvagal informed pediatric chiropractic that I have been able to help reconnect these kids in a different way, in a special way. And the bond that I make with these kids and the changes that we see are just utterly magnificent. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. So when you look at this chart, I know it's kind of small. Sorry, it looks much bigger on mine. But when millions of years ago, when the amphibians were crawling around, right, that's when the vagus nerve first came about. The vagus nerve came about because the little amphibians wanted to escape the bigger reptiles like the Tyrannosaurus. So what they did is they created this polyvagal, they created this nerve called the vagus nerve that stopped them, that could put them in freeze like this. And now Tyrannosaurus can't see them. Now, a Velociraptor can't see them because they're these little amphibians are just stuck looking like this, which is a brilliant adaptation at that time because T-Rex couldn't, sense those kind of things, didn't have the sense of smell, the eyes, etc., that other things had later on. But then when saber-toothed tigers and stuff came along, that freeze didn't work anymore, right? So now we needed to have something else. And that's where the sympathetic nervous system came in. And just like a squirrel, you go near a squirrel, it goes poof, it runs right away. That's what the sympathetic nervous system does, is it either fights or it flights. But when people came along, millions of years later, now something else had to be invented in order to determine, is that person safe or not, right? Because if you look at a saber-toothed tiger, it's not safe. There's no questioning like, do I have to think if this saber-toothed tiger is going to be safe or not? No, it's not like a pet, right? It's not like Fido. It's not like that at all. A saber-toothed tiger is unsafe. However, how do you know a human's unsafe? Is you need social engagement. You need social engagement. And that where that comes into chiropractic is how we deal with our kids, our special needs kids. When they come into our practices, they are in fight or flight or they're in freeze. They're in one of those two things. And what we need to do is get them to safety. We need to get them to safety. So that means our entire offices have to be turned into a place of safety. We have to think about so many different things. And that's what I want to teach you when we talk about polyvagal informed pediatric chiropractic, is I want to teach you how to create a safe space. So when we think about the different parts of the vagus nerve, we are all very familiar because of Gray's Anatomy, what we learned in chiropractic school. We're all familiar with the lower part, the dorsal vagus, which is on the bottom of this picture here. The dorsal vagus, which is the part of the vagus that allows for digestion and resting, and the rest digesting that we all know about, right? We all know about that. We all know about the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight system. Nobody taught us until Dr. Porges came along and figured this out about the ventral vagus and the connections that the vagus has with things like the eyes and the ears and the mouth and the throat, all these kind of things. We didn't know this kind of stuff until he came along. But listening to Dr. Porges over the years has made me understand that I need to shift my tactic on how I deal with these kids. So I want to teach you how to do an examination with these kids to make it a successful examination. Number one, that you're connecting with them, that you make them feel safe. Number one. And number two is that you're getting a lot of good information out of this exam, especially some polyvagal informed information to teach you where is this kid in terms of his, does he feel safe or not with you, or she or they. So just as an example of what I'm going to show you guys at this seminar that's coming up, is I want to share this little clip that from Dr. Porges and I, a conversation we had talking about, and just listen to this. Here's someone who doesn't really have a tremendous experience with chiropractic, but I want you to hear the insight he has just from sharing the stuff that we've been sharing over the last several months about this. It was always frustrating adjusting these kids because they wouldn't sit still. And we'd have to have the parent hold them. And I realized that we didn't have to approach your system that way. And that was another big aha.
But you're divulging, you're telling a lot here, and that is you're really telling what the history of your training was. Your history of your training was manipulations come out from outside the body, and that you do that, and then the body will absorb it or integrate it. And if it doesn't, you do it again.
Right.
If we transpose that to like the world of trauma, the world of trauma is inside out because people think trauma is about the event. It's not about the event, it's about the response. So many people experience severe traumatic events, but they're not traumatized because their nervous system has this degree of resilience. It's the same thing with what you're trying to do. You're trying to enter into the nervous system, but the nervous system's accessibility is really a function of whether it's a state of safety or defense.
Wow. Like I when he said that, I was like, holy cow, you understand chiropractic better than a lot of chiropractors do. Because think about the things that he said. Number one, inside out, right? He talked about inside out. And isn't that our whole thing, the above, down, inside out, ADIO concept? Isn't that like exactly what it is? And here's someone who really does not have a lot of experience in chiropractic, but he was able to kind of put that together, right? So I think that's totally amazing. And then number two, he took this and he said, isn't this what we have to do with our special needs, with our neurodivergent kids, in order to make them feel safe? And that's the essence of what I'm trying to figure out is and why what I'm trying to present to you is, how do we make a safe environment? So number one, the examination. Number two, your adjustments, the whole overall experience. So that's what we're going to do in our 4 hours together, is we're going to teach you from A to Z how to make your practice a polyvagal informed practice. And we're going to have at the end, Dr. Porges and I having this amazing kind of communication. So I am super excited to do this. And I really appreciate ChiroSecure for allowing this to happen. I've been a ChiroSecure member since I graduated in 1989, and my malpractice insurance, we had to decide right then and there. I went with ChiroSecure, and I've been with them ever since, and they've been nothing but amazing. So I absolutely appreciate everything that ChiroSecure has done for this. So if you're interested in learning more about this information, This is either QR code or Bitly if you want to go on Bitly and hit that link. This is how to get to that seminar. It can be offered in two different ways. Number one is it's going to be offered live. So on Saturday, April 2nd at 10 a.m. Eastern time, we're going to do this 4 hours from 10 to 2. So it's going to be an amazing, amazing event. And I'm super excited if you want to do live. But the Polyvagal Institute that I've teamed with, they are also allowing this to be recorded. And then you can, if you can't make it on the second, because some people have like national boards and some people have other seminars, etc. If you can't make it on the second, then you absolutely can listen to a recording, and the recording will be available for a year afterwards. Now, when it's going to be available, I don't exactly know. I've had a lot of people ask me, like, is it going to be available the next day? I don't know. But it will be available, and then you'll have that particular recording to listen to at your leisure whenever you want to. So to me, the most important thing that I want to get you guys to understand is that there's something called the window of tolerance, right? So when a child first comes into your practice, they're either in a high vagal state or a low vagal state, right? They're either stuck in freeze like this, they won't even look at you, they won't even talk to you, or they're bouncing off the walls like this because their vagal brake isn't on. How do we create that window of tolerance? How do we create that situation where when a child comes into that practice and you do that examination, that you make them free, that you make them feel safe? Just as an example, and I'm gonna close this out and then see if there's any questions. But just as an example, we had a young child come in who's on the spectrum, beautiful young lady, about 10 years old. And the mom warned me and said, Dr. Rubin, you're gonna have a hard time with her because she is extremely fragile. She is apt to get like really upset. She will start to scream and yell and throw herself on the floor. So you're really going to have a hard time, with her. And I said, don't worry. We use polyvagal informed pediatric chiropractic to reach her and create a state of safety. So when I first met her, she had these little like worm snake like sensory things that she was playing with that we provided. We always have all these little sensory toys. And she was saying, she was hiding behind her mom saying, the snakes are going to get you. The snakes are going to get you. But we kind of played with that. We made this, a game, etc. And by the second visit, now she's like, the snakes want you to play with me. The snakes want to have a fun time with you. And it completely changed the entire dynamic of the adjustment. And the mom is like, this has never happened before. And it's never happened, especially this quickly, where you've gained her trust instantly. And that's what I want for you guys, is I want you guys to be able to get that instant trust. But there's a way to do it. And to me, the way to do it is through being polyvagal informed. So join us on April 2nd. Use the link that we have here or the Bitly if you want to use that, or use the QR code, whichever is easier for you. If there's any questions or comments, I'd love to answer them. But otherwise, I hope I gave you just a little taste of what's going on. And once again, I want to thank ChiroSecure and Dr. Stu Hoffman for allowing us to be a part of this, because I don't know about you guys, but there's nothing more important than the kids. There's nothing, the suffering. I posted a podcast today, my podcast, ChiroCast. I posted a podcast today about the amount of suffering, the amount of kids that we keep on seeing over and over and over again. And I'm so grateful to see these kids, but the amount of kids out there that are suffering is astronomical. And who's going to take care of them, right? Who's going to take care of them but us? If we don't get the opportunity, who's going to, right? And if I can help you guys see these kids in a better way, in a safer way, in a place where they feel more secure with you, right? Then I've done my job. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate being here, and I hope to see you on April 2nd, or I hope that you join the video and a recorded session. Thank you guys. Have a great day.